welcome everyone. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting here with two very knowledgeable executives in the FSI and compliance space. Chad Hamblin, Director of Financial Services Industry at Microsoft, and Gerald Kromer, CEO of ASC Technologies. Today, we will talk about Microsoft Teams and Dynamics 365 and how Microsoft and ASC can help in addressing regulatory compliance for financial industries. We are very passionate about this topic, compliance, and I'm excited to hear the input of these two experts in the field. Welcome both, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. So, Gerald, I know that compliance reporting is a really important topic in banking, and something that's often talked about amongst various market trends. Would love to hear your perspective on kind of what you think compliance reporting is and why is it important for banking and banking customers?
Well, yeah, it is. It's kind of the DNA of what we do, right? I mean, every developed financial market has some set of regulations to it, and the overall purpose is always the same, right? It's about creating efficient markets, about creating transparency in the market and protecting investors. The regulations have different names, be it MiFID II in Europe, be it Dodd-Frank in the US, be it FINSA in Switzerland. But again, the goal is the same, to protect investors. And a very important piece of that investor protection is actually being able to record all customer communications that leads to a financial transaction. But not only record it, keep it for a number of years, keep it in a tamper-proof way, and have a full audit trail on every single conversation, right? And that is exactly what compliance recording does. So compliance recording is an essential requirement for all financial institutions, especially as they move to Microsoft Teams these days, right? Because now it's not just about recording voice, it's also about recording chat, recording video, recording screen, all media, right? And we see that the regulators are actually taking this obligation pretty serious. Right? We've seen a number of banks pay heavy fines in dollar, in euro, because they have failed to meet their compliance obligations. So Chad, mentioning Teams, right? In your perspective, where do the FSI customers stand in their journey towards Microsoft Teams?
Yeah, I would probably broaden this question beyond Teams and just kind of talk about where banking customers are as it relates to compliance and recording in general. And I would say, overall, as you noted, there are very tough and stringent regulations in place for most banking organizations today, and that certainly has prompted them or encouraged them to become more serious about their compliance recording efforts. So I would say overall, banking organizations have made good progress around compliance recording, partly due to solutions like ASC that I think really help kind of streamline and kind of automate that process. But I still think there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm sure you probably see this with your customers as well, that while they've kind of made progress in some of the baseline areas around compliance recording, there's still a lot of kind of details that they need to sort out in terms of tracking information, how they record it, how they share it, how it's cataloged, making sure that they're abiding by all the banking regulations. So good news is, yes, progress made, but still a lot of room for further improvement. And as you mentioned, yes, Microsoft Teams and a lot of the Microsoft platform does have very strong security and compliance capabilities built in, including Teams, which is certainly kind of a key feature that a lot of our customers are looking for. And I think on top of that, ASC does a great job of further kind of enhancing and strengthening our core compliance capabilities.
And that is exactly as you say, right? I mean, first of all, I mean, I remember 3 years ago, right, when I was targeting to bring compliance to the cloud, a lot of our banking customers would actually not even consider moving to the cloud, right? And that has drastically changed with, in my perception, really two things, right? One thing is clearly COVID drove home office and drove the whole new way of working. But at the same time, it is Azure and Teams who set a new level of standard of security and availability in the market that all of a sudden made it acceptable for customers, for banking customers, to actually move their core, their customer data into the cloud, right? And this is where Microsoft then built upon, right? When I embarked on this journey with ASC, together with Microsoft as early as 2018, right, Chad? Remember, we were one of the software co-development partners in this in early 2018. We coined this term "better together" strategy, right? Where we actually took a differentiated approach from everybody else and built a native app, native to Azure, native to Teams, because we really wanted to leverage. We believe that's the only way actually to leverage the full power of Teams, the full power of Azure, of Active Directory, of GraphQL, leveraging that and just providing compliance as a service.
Yeah, no, and thank you for your earlier comments about kind of Teams and Azure enabling kind of the hybrid workplace. We certainly appreciate that, and we do think that we were able to kind of meet those market needs. Now, you started to get into a little bit of a description about ASC and kind of what you do, and I'd love to kind of dig a little deeper into that and hear about, you know, what exactly is ASC's core competency, core focus, if you will. What are you doing specifically around compliance and reporting? If you can kind of just break that down for our viewers, that would be helpful.
Yes, certainly. Look, like I just touched upon, right? We took this native app approach, and look, I'll be honest here, Chad, right? I mean, most of our competitors took an existing on-premise stack or an AWS-based stack or whatever, and just added Teams integration to that. And when we started, that is actually what we did in 2018, right? That's the way we started. But after just a couple of months, actually, my tech team came back to me and said, look, I mean, we got to make a decision here. Either we build a true Teams and Azure service, or we better just not play, right? It doesn't make sense. And this is where we took this architecture decision to really say native Teams service, so we can leverage the UI, fully integrated in the UI, so we give the customer the best experience, user experience, while leveraging all the benefits of the Microsoft architecture. And that is really what we have done differently, right? And many times customers ask me, so what is my benefit, right? I mean, the benefit is very simple. It is seamlessly integrated in Teams. Our service is seamlessly integrated in Teams, in the Active Directory, in the Azure services, right? We can onboard customers in hours. Sometimes I had a Spanish banking customer calling me saying, I need compliance. I have the regulator on my back. I have Teams rolled out. I'm not compliant yet. When can I have this? And you know, based on the old world, the answer would have been, well, maybe in 4 to 6 or 8 weeks. If we really accelerate, today my answer is tomorrow. Do you have time tomorrow? I can do it tomorrow in 2 hours, right? I mean, that is as easy as it is to connect a compliance service, our compliance recording service, recording insights, to a customer's Microsoft tenant. And the other benefit is obviously leveraging the Azure cloud. We can leverage all those security and availability mechanisms that Azure comes with, and gives our customers full confidence in our service.
Thank you for that. And I think it's important also for our viewers to understand that ASC really is a compliance and call recording specialist provider. I mean, that really is kind of your core focus. And you have really developed a lot of expertise and specialty around, and something that I know that our banking customers really appreciate. Now, I know that you've talked about kind of Microsoft and Teams and Microsoft and Azure. Do you also want to briefly talk a little bit about ASC and Power Platform and Dynamics, and kind of talk about some of the things you're working on there as well?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this better together obviously doesn't stop at Teams and Azure. It continues as the Microsoft journey continues, right? So as you say, we have built an integration into Dynamics, because we see a lot of our FSI customers wanting to be able to actually tag also their voice communication or their video communication into their customer lifetime in Dynamics, right? We've gone the next step and actually integrated into the financial services cloud, right? And I believe this is an important initiative for Microsoft. And that is why we early on said We believe in the verticalization of markets. We will be part of this from day one. So actually today, ASC is the only recording and compliance solution that is certified for the financial services cloud.
Yeah, and that's really important. And I think if I can just spend a couple of minutes talking a little bit more about the FSI cloud, certainly we appreciate ASC's participation in the kind of earlier preview efforts around that. For those that aren't familiar, the Microsoft Financial Services Cloud is a Microsoft engineering developed first-party set of capabilities and features that are specific to a specific industry, in this case, financial services. We just recently came out about 6 to 9 months ago with our first set of capabilities that were more geared for retail banking. And we are in the near future going to be coming out with an extended data model that will also include areas around wealth management and insurance. And it's something that we're very excited about. And I know, we're certainly excited to have partners like yourself be part of that. We do very much believe that it's important to develop industry-specific capabilities and features that are inside of our core product that can really help streamline the implementation of many of our customers. So very excited about the collaboration there, and something that we will continue to invest in our side, and look forward to the continued partnership there as well. I know that you kind of talked a little bit about the ASC involvement and experience in the FSI cloud. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about your involvement in the FSI cloud?
Well, for me, the FSI cloud is really the next step, right? I mean, at this moment, I'm just amazed by the team's take up in the FSI industry, right? In my perception, led by Europe, Canada, Australia. We have customers in APAC. We have first customers in Japan. We have customers in South America. So it's really globally, North America, we've seen the take up of teams throughout the financial services industry. And the first thought, Chad, as we talked about, right, the first thought is compliance capture. That is kind of laying the foundation. And as soon as that compliance foundation is in place, the next conversation starts. And that conversation may be along the lines of the FSI cloud, right? How do I automate business processes, right? For example, one process we have built to support is a consent process where FSI customers can actually record the consent of a customer. And also based on your cognitive services, which we use there, right? Beautiful AI engine, we can analyze that consent and trigger workflows from it. The other stream that we're seeing is where we have built a so-called compliance policy engine, where it is then about automating compliance, right? The first thing is capture, make sure you have everything, but then you want to use that wealth of data that you have there. And again, that is where we use the Microsoft Cognitive Services, very powerful, very broad AI engine to automate compliance for our customers. So it's really step 1, step 2, step 3. It's a journey, I believe, and I believe, Chad, we're just starting the journey. I don't know how you look at that.
Yeah, no, I very much think the same, and I think there's just a lot of value that our combined solutions provide. And you kind of talked about teams multiple times, and I love the fact that you guys are already kind of a leader in the kind of core compliance and call recording space. But then you kind of combine that with some of our underlying capabilities around compliance and data security and privacy, and really think we have a very strong, powerful solution. And one of the things that I'm not sure if our viewers are aware is that the integration that you've done with Teams actually is a native experience. So if I'm a user in Teams, I can actually use the call recording compliance capabilities right inside of Teams. I don't have to switch back and forth between applications. It's very seamless, very easy to use. And as a user, it just makes it so much easier for me to kind of track the kind of compliance and call recording details. I can have it at my fingertips inside of Teams. I can do a search on it. I can catalog it. I can bring up insights and metrics around that. So to me, that's very exciting. I know we're kind of running out of time here, so I guess the last question is, tell the viewers how they can learn more about ASC and kind of your solution and what you're doing.
Well, for those of you who are interested in learning more about compliance for Dynamics 365 and Teams, I would encourage you to download our newly launched ebook, How Microsoft and ASC Make Regulatory Compliance Easy for Financial Industries. The link is available with this video. I'd like to thank you both so much for sharing your thoughts and experiences on this topic. It's exciting to see the development on the market and hearing your thoughts on the future. Great having you both here, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.